Hi, my name is Idris Kamboga and I'm happy to be here with you again. Today we are going to look at itinerary development for the beginners. If you're new in tourism and you want to grow and you want to start itinerary development, today keep it right here. We are going to take you step by step on how to design a perfect itinerary for your tourist. Remember, a perfect itinerary will fuel your client's desire to travel as soon as they can. And we're going to look at 5 steps that you must consider. And very quickly, our first point in this case, you must have product knowledge. I've always told you in tourism, you must know everything. When you have product knowledge, you will be very confident. Your accuracy levels will be very high. So find the possible way on how you can gather product knowledge. Product knowledge simply means know what happens in the industry in far as your clients' needs, etc. Our next point here would be you must know the travel time frame of your clients. When are your clients intend to come to a destination? You may be aware that some attractions or some activities are probably very enjoyable under particular seasons. For example, the dry season and the wet season. You must be able to advise for you to craft a very nice itinerary, knowing when your clients are bound to come. It's very important. So that's something that you must take note about. Our next point would be know your client's interests. It is very important for you to exhaust or to understand the specifics of your clients. What do they need? This will enable you to do a perfect itinerary. I'll give you an example very quickly. If the client's interests are primates, you will at least find the best way of bringing in the chimpanzee, bringing in the gorilla trekking. If they are birders, in this case, certainly your itinerary would be with lots of birding excursions. So knowing your client's interest is very important. Our next point to consider is being realistic. Do not make an itinerary that is unrealistic. These are human beings. Avoid making it more of a detour. A detour is something like after an activity, there will be an announcement who is the winner. Then probably a prize will be awarded to that person. So keep your itinerary realistic. You've got long drives that are impossible. Why not breaking them? So it's very key there. Our last point to look at is you must know your client's budget. Knowing your client's budget at the very first communication may not. Some communicate, others don't communicate. But it's very important to have an ideal plan. For example, if your clients are probably high-end, you'll be able to craft an itinerary with high-end accommodation. If their choice is probably mid-range, you'll be able to know how to put in activities that are not very expensive in this case. Having a budget at hand gives you an ideal way on how you can craft a perfect itinerary. And those are the 5 things that we have decided to give you through. But very quickly, we are going to take you through the qualities of a good itinerary. So when you bring these 5 plus the qualities of a good itinerary, then you will have a competitive itinerary. And your itinerary is very unique, then your conversion rate will be high. Very fast. To start with, have an itinerary branded. You all have company logos. You all have your letterheads. Having a beautiful itinerary, have your contacts, have your logo on a headed paper, and then your itinerary looks very professional. 2, your itinerary must have a title. In this case, the title includes the following: the dates, full names of your guests, and probably the name of your itinerary. We'll give you an example of a quick title. Itinerary for Brandon and Mike The number of people are 2. You say 2 packs. Visiting Uganda, 3 days gorilla trekking, July 13th to 15th, 2020. So that's how your title should spell. Some itineraries have got reference numbers. If you're able to use reference numbers, that's very good, and it should appear in your title. The next point here to consider as a quality of a good itinerary, you must have good content of the itinerary. And what makes a good content of your itinerary? First of all, it has to be in simple English. Not every client understands English, so avoid using industry jargons for you to have a perfect and a unique itinerary. Next, your itinerary must highlight attractions. The attractions, these are actually what clients are going to see. We've got a number of national parks. These could be your attractions. And within national parks, there are attractions as well. The animals, the birds. Don't forget the activities. Your itinerary must spell the activities. And they must be well placed. Do not congest your itinerary with activities. Remember, when visitors come here, they come with their loved ones. They need to spend some time with their loved ones. Have your itinerary take into consideration of free times, where clients would probably wake up and get on their balcons or verandas just for, you could have a day, complete relaxation. Avoid congesting your itineraries with activities. The other thing that we must look at, your itinerary must spell driving time. It's very important, from one point to another point. For example, you must highlight what is the drive time from Entebbe Airport to your hotel for that night. Could be 15 minutes if you're bringing from Entebbe Airport to one hotel in Entebbe. If you're bringing clients to Kampala, you highlight it could be 45 minutes. If it's a peak hour, then you could say 1 hour plus. But it's very important. Could be a flight time. Some clients fly from Entebbe to Bwindi. What's the flight time from Entebbe to Bwindi? That's what we call the travel time. Make sure your itinerary, before you submit it, you have your booking terms, the cancellation policies, all must go on the payment terms. This is very important before you send out an itinerary. And this is very common now when you're using digital itineraries. For the traditional method, I've seen quite a number of itineraries that don't go without all this. But when you're using digital itinerary platforms, remember I talked about where to one day. Here you have to feed in your cancellation policies. But it's very important for your client to understand what your cancellation policies are, what your booking policies are. The other thing to consider would be the meal plan. Your itinerary should highlight the meal plan for a given day. If clients are to have dinner, all these negotiations, you have them. Some clients would say, would have dinner on our own, so your itinerary goes without dinners. On the other hand, if you're giving them all meals for the day, then simply highlight full board on each day. If they are going to have breakfast, I've seen clients that actually say, we would mind to have bed and breakfast. The rest don't mind. So meal plan is very important, but it comes through your agreement between your clients and you, the planner. Our next point to look at as one of the qualities of a good itinerary would be inclusions and the exclusions. Inclusions simply mean what includes. If a client pays you $2,000, what does the $2,000 include? Does it include a permit? Does it include flights from one point to the other? Does it include entry fees? So you must clearly spell what your itinerary includes and what it excludes. For example, are you giving personal insurance? Could be. Are you doing laundry? If it includes laundry, then you take it to the inclusions. If it excludes laundry, then you bring it into exclusion. If you're not doing tips for that group, then you must put it in the exclusions. That's very important. Don't forget, your itinerary must have prices. This is now the selling line. Make sure you send out an itinerary well costed, and you have prices for. Prices may vary, so we may not tell you about the static price, but prices may vary depending on the interest of the client. The other thing that you must include in your itinerary, the emergency contacts. It is very important, especially when an itinerary has been confirmed. But even on a first encounter with your clients, remember, when a client sees your itinerary well organized from what your competitor has sent, chances of buying from you stand really high. So ensure you have emergency contacts on your itinerary. Next to look at, as you're sending out that good itinerary to your client, the travel information. Travel information here, we're looking at health requirements. For example, the vaccine that are required. Does the client need yellow fever? The clothing, travel information about the weather, the climate. Clients need all this information on an itinerary. So make sure you have travel information well so that you can send it out on your itinerary. The packing, we've talked about packing list. Visa requirements, all these can be grouped under travel information, among others. The other thing that you have to consider when you're doing your itinerary, try to incorporate images for different experiences, for various hotels. It's very important. This will spark the appetite of your clients. Remember, we are looking at an itinerary that fuels your clients to travel as soon as they can. So having images of different experiences, different lodgings where they are going to stay, that's a very nice one. So consider that. It's very good. Then our next point would be your itinerary should have a travel map. Now, this is very common when it comes to digital itineraries. A travel map is very key. It shows the routing, how your clients are going to, and they will enjoy it. Remember, we are looking at coming up with a perfect itinerary so that we can sell very fast. If your itinerary does not have these highlights, I'm sure you're noting them. Check yourself. Try to make your itinerary complete by having a travel map. It's very important. Look at the mode of transport. It must be stated in your itinerary. If clients are going to drive at one point, highlight that. If at another point clients are flying, this all must be stated in your itinerary. Clients would love to know the modes of transport that you're going to use from one point to the other. Even during connecting to some places, at one point they will definitely use a boat. So highlight that from this point to the other point, you will be taking a boat. Keep in mind to have the mode of transport in your itinerary highlighted. And our last point here, as quality of a good itinerary, it must be readable. Readable means you must have a good font size and a good font type. Avoid sending your itinerary in a very weird font size, too small, people that can't read. So make your itinerary readable. You can use Fort Vandana, that's a nice one. So it is readable, and you can make it 14. So those are the qualities of a perfect itinerary for the beginners. If you want to craft an itinerary that will stand out and sell, look at those qualities. So that's what we can share with you for the beginners learning to develop a perfect itinerary. And I want to thank you once again for always watching our video tutorials, and just know we are always bringing something new, and don't mind, your topic will be brought here and we will discuss it. I want to thank you once again, and if you're new, please keep subscribing here, and I can't wait to see you in our next video. Thank you.